Okay, I think we are good to go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a very, very warm night here in Death Valley, in the Death Valley area. We're probably close to 120 today, and tonight is, well, we're supposed to see an overnight low tonight of about 83 or 84, I think. So we'll see how. Let me get this muted. Okay, good. Well, at least I know I'm making noise. Very warm night, and it's a very warm night tonight. We're supposed to see an overnight low of, like I said, about the low and mid 80s. So it's going to be a very warm night tonight. In fact, what do we got right now? Yeah, it's still about 102, 103 right now at our start time. Yeah, I've got some really pretty things to show you tonight just before the moon starts coming back and making the skies too bright. There's also some puffs of breeze that are quite a bit stronger than they forecasted, of course, but hopefully they won't bug us too much. I'll just roll with it. We'll just roll with it if we need to. Okay, so let's turn off our test pattern. Let's go to our desktop here so I can show you my setup. And there we are. And so I use an 8-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope called a C8, a Celestron C8, and it rides on top of an AM5 strain wave mount, harmonic mount, and I have the Hyperstar in front and the camera stuck on the front here, the 183 color camera, and that's what's bringing us our pictures tonight, as always, on my spare no expense cinder block pier. And I'm at a table sitting behind this, all collecting all these pretty images. So there is that, and then I decided to do my focus on Antares because we are going to be right in the neighborhood of Antares, right there, because we're going to start off with the Prawn Nebula. And now this here is the constellation of Scorpius, which is low in the southern sky right now. For me, it's about 10-15 degrees up from the horizon. For most people who live in the northern climes, it's very close to the horizon, if not partially below the horizon even now. But in this case, we're going to take a look at the Prawn Nebula, which is right down here, almost at the bottom of the hook. It's right next to a very pretty cluster. NGC 6231, I believe, is the name of the cluster. So a very pretty cluster, and it's only visible like this time of year right now. It's never in a better position than where it is right now. So we're going to get started right on that. There's the cluster there. This seemed to overshoot it. And sometimes the first one do this. Now it looked like it was pretty much right on it. This will say it's 2 degrees off and move the scope 2 more degrees, which is just takes us way off. But then all I need to do is re-slew back to the same target, and it seems to put us right on it. Don't know why the first one does that, but it does. But hey, as long as it works, and I get how to make it work, that's what counts. I'm going to have to resize this window so that you guys can see. Oh, hey, Sanjeev. Thanks for joining. Let me shrink this window up. Because I live out in the desert, I have great skies, but the internet is obviously fairly limited. So I have to limit my broadcast bandwidth to be less than my full screen size. So I have to make sure that I shrink all my windows down to less than full screen so that you guys can actually see what you're supposed to see. Okay, and let's do the same for Stellarium. Come on, down this way. There. And right there. Hopefully you could see when I was talking about the Scorpius constellation. Right there, that little scorpion's tail and the double star stinger on the end. And Sagittarius, the teapot, right next to it. Dominate our southern sky. The center of our Milky Way galaxy is actually, where am I? Is actually right about here, right above the teapot is the center of the Milky Way. Okay, anyway, where am I? I am here. All right, so first of all, we forgot to put our flat in. That's first. And we'll get rid of a lot of the blazing brightness in the middle there. Hey, Ron. Yeah, have been well. The only challenge has been the weather. It's getting, of course, very hot here in the desert. It was pretty close to 120 today. And tonight is supposed to be pretty warm. Overnight low of about 83 or 84, so it'll be a warm one out here tonight, but not gonna stop us. So this is the Prawn Nebula. Let me get this better. Alright, got that notated. And this is the pretty NGC 6231 down here, the pretty sparkly open cluster that's down below it. Now, let's see. I wonder if... Yep, Prawn Nebula does show up as Prawn Nebula. Okay. An emission nebula. It's about 6,000 light years from Earth. Most of the things in this area are it forms part of the tail of the false comet anchored by the bright open cluster 6231. Yeah. So this is has been misinterpreted as a comet, and this makes part of the bright tail of it. If you look at this portion of Scorpius. Scorpius with your binoculars or a small telescope will kind of look like this is a bit of a comet looking thing. It's a fuzzy thing. You can tell it's not a star like the brighter stars that are in the constellation. It's a bit of a fuzzy bit, but that's because it's this beautiful sparkly little open cluster and the Prawn Nebula right next to it. Okay. Now I think, where is my software? There's that. Okay, very good. Let's see how our guiding is doing. Well, not terrible for this part of the sky. Not horrible for this part of the sky. Especially with a bit of a southerly breeze blasting right into it, right into the end of the scope. And this is obviously pointed very low to the ground, very low to my horizon. This green line here is my horizon, so this is pretty low. So this is basically pointed because I'm sitting to the south of my scope. The scope is kind of pointing right over my left shoulder. So I got to be careful to keep my light off and not have it interfering with the light being collected for the object, not blowing the object out. most of the things in this area are in the 5,000 to 6,000 range. Do I see benefit by dithering? It's minor, if anything. I cannot point to it and say, yes, boy, it made a big difference here. No, I can't say that, Sanjeev. I just, I think it adds a little bit of smoothness, especially when you're talking about a very noisy sensor like the venerable old 183, which is a great sensor, but it's definitely shown its age, and I think I have lost my stars here. Find him again. Come on. Track. Go. So I can't honestly say it makes a big difference, especially if you have a newer sensor. You know, one of the newer CRAPA sensors, the 571 sensor or the 585, or any of the newer ones that are not as in need of calibration files and whatnot. Ooh, there's a good breeze. You probably don't need it to do. You probably don't need dithering. It probably makes very little difference, but it's easy to do. It's, you know, it doesn't take any work. So I just do it because it's kind of one of those can't hurt, might help sort of things. But I cannot point to it and say, yeah, this made a really big difference. Maybe it's more psychological than anything else. Now let's get our background music going. As you can hear from my microphone, I am getting some pretty good breezes tonight, but out here in the desert we got no trees, or very few, so that's one of the prices we pay. Is just get a lot more breeze here from the open plains. And the forecasted only for about a 2-mile-an-hour breeze tonight, and we're getting puffs that are easily triple that amount, so forecasters strike again. But we can only do what we can do. Hopefully it won't mess up the images too much, although obviously it'll mess up my audio a bit, so I'll have to just keep myself muted as much as I can so that you're not listening to the constant wind noise. Good question, Sanjeev. I basically have an eye bolt. I drilled a hole through the concrete block, and I have a 3/8/16 eye bolt that screws up through, and I just turn the eye with my hand. And I have a big fender washer on it with a couple layers of bicycle tube just to provide it some cushion. And so I screw that up in there, and it tightens it down and holds it nice and firm. So, and as you can hear, the wind has really picked up here in the last couple of minutes. Really hoping this dies down, or it's going to be a very short night. Yikes. Yeah, thank you. It's a testament to the AM5, how well it's holding it on target. The guiding is not very good, but it's holding it well enough that I'm not getting some bad stars out of it. Zoom in on it a little bit. It's just a nice little. I kind of like the. It's sort of like a little moth. Moth with the wings out here and the moth body in the middle. Yeah. Kind of an interesting looking. Interesting looking little nebula. Boy, where is this wind coming from? So for those who are just showing up, this is the constellation Scorpius deep in the southern sky, and what we're imaging here is this little cluster, this bright spot, sometimes called a false comet, right here. This pretty little cluster. We're getting part of the cluster, and this nice little nebula chunk here. Here's what our screen is actually seeing. And so it's right in Scorpius, very low in the southern sky. broadband list, even though it's not a broadband object. Oops, now it's there twice. Okay. Well, I'm confused. Why is it not indicated here? One of these blue circles if it's supposedly already in the list. Why is it in the list twice? So, there is the Prawn Nebula. Pretty cool little nebula right down at the very bottom of Sagittarius. Let's head up to our next target. We'll just keep working our way north. Continue to hope that this wind is going to reduce. Okay, so we'll head up now to the Lagoon Nebula next. Always a pretty one. Do I use FWHM or brightness? The answer is brightness. I think I don't know. Let's look. If I recall, I definitely used brightness. I don't think I used FWHM. No, I only use brightness. Right now, I don't use FWHM. I found for me brightness is more useful. Set it about 90%. Not tracked with that one, so yeah, for my particular use case, I find brightness is more useful for me. Although there was a time when I used just FWHM and not brightness, and then I swapped quite a while ago. Now, so long ago, I don't even remember why. I've used them both, and you know, try them, see which works best for you. For me, brightness just seems to work better in this case. Satellite. Yeah, there will definitely be satellites tonight. There are satellites everywhere. As any of you experienced observers know, actually, heck, anybody who looks at the night sky for any period of time knows that. With the naked eye, you can see them all over there. The nice thing about doing the Prawn Nebula, it's very low to the horizon. Very rare to see a satellite down that far. So, anyway, so again, the Lagoon Nebula is going to be, again, about 5,000 or so light years away Giant Emission Nebula. I can see it here, naked eye, with averted vision. So, I know for those of you who are in more urban areas, and that's most of the population, it's not going to be quite so easy. But from here I can see, actually I can see this and Omega and Eagle, naked eye as well as the Sagittarius star cloud. They're visible to the naked eye as little puffs. Anyway, they're saying that it's located 4,000 to 6,000 light years away, so about the same size, about the same distance as the prawn where we just were. It's about 110 by 50 light years in size. Contains a young cluster. It has multiple Bach globules, which are the black spots. See these little black spots here? Little black spots are Bach globules, which are basically protostar material. They absorb light or block the light from the nebula, but they're protostar material, part of the nebula itself. Centrally located hourglass nebula. It's a very beautiful, object. There's nothing else in the area here. So bright I can't see what that says. It's a very pretty region. A little reflection nebula up here. Actually, just keep this spot on. Dark areas of dark nebula here. But all these black spots are the Bach globules. But it's a very pretty nebula. Should stop moving it around so it can settle out on you guys' screen. It's not all pixelated. this one last sub and then go to our next object. It's very nice. It's a very pretty one. Lots of pretty wispy things. Let's go off to the next object, which is going to be right next to it here, which some people call the toes or Chinese dragon. I'm actually going to spray a little bit. You can catch a little bit of the lagoon still in there because it's right next to the lagoon. Actually, I think I'll just leave it right there. I'll just leave it right there. Very short slew. We should be right on it. This is one of my favorites. I don't see very many people imaging this object. And it's a really nice one. Quite beautiful. You couldn't even tell from the image in Stellarium what it's about. It's just very dim and muted. And nothing like what it looks like after a few exposures, as you will soon see. Chinese dragon. Hi, Ali. Good evening to you. Really? My voice hard to hear? Maybe the microphone's a little too far away. As you can tell, I definitely have some wind tonight. There we go. That's better. Back this off a little bit. It's actually pretty good. Actually, that's too muted. Thanks for letting me know, Ali. Appreciate it. Sometimes the microphone drifts away from my mouth and I don't realize it's done that because I can't hear myself. So, depend on you guys to let me know if I'm audible or not. So here is the very west edge of, the very east edge of lagoon in here. So this is sometimes called the toes because it looks like a few toes on a foot that the heel of which is the Lagoon Nebula. But it's just a really pretty area, and again, it's got all kinds of it's got all kinds of nebulosity in here. It's got the dark nebula, it's got the red emission, and it's got the blue reflection, which is kind of the blue frosting, which is really pretty on this. So, and then it's surrounded by all these golden star clouds, which just add to its add to its beauty. So we'll zoom in more as we collect some more data. I was in the Mojave last week. It was obviously absolutely gorgeous at night. I love summer nights in the desert. Yeah, it's been humid this last few days. Today was also very hot, so it was upper 100 teens, probably close to 120. And the humidity has been up too, so it's kind of monsoonal heat on top of it. Just been kind of miserable. But that's life out here. That's why not many people live here. You know, the monsoon has definitely arrived. Heck, the monsoon been going all the way up the entire west coast. They're getting the top of it in, the very end of the push up in Idaho, Montana, the Dakotas. They're getting unbelievably warm temperatures for them. So it's been a pretty wild last week or so. 107, yeah. So we were at least 10 degrees warmer than that here, but yeah. Humid, yuck. But see here, this is why it's all called the Chinese dragon, because there is a dark nebula that winds itself, this little snake-looking nebula. It winds itself through here like a Chinese dragon. Dragons are actually serpent-like in Chinese folklore, so that's why it's called the Chinese dragon, or it's called the toes by some people. The breeze is still kicking up a little bit, but hopefully seems like maybe it's tapering off. We really weren't supposed to get any much wind this evening, just little light breezes, so these last 15 or 20 minutes has been a bit much. Hopefully it's done and gone. Don't mind a little breeze. It's actually nice having a little breeze because it keeps the bugs off you. The mosquitoes get knocked down. And yes, we absolutely have mosquitoes out here. Of course, we're a hot spring, so we do have water in the area. So we have mosquitoes and various horseflies, including the giant western horsefly, which we call bombers, which is basically a large black horsefly with a gray back on it. And it will bite through denim. So definitely not a fun dude to deal with. And we got them all over here. I kind of zoomed out a little too far on that. I really like the frosting, the blue reflection nebula frosting on all these areas here. It's like the whole thing has been frosted, especially over here. Just a beautiful object. Well, this is definitely like the Orion Nebula. It's certainly a star-forming region. Anywhere there's big pockets of gas like this, stars are being formed. So that's probably what, a lot of these stars are probably young stars that were formed in this. So definitely a cool thing. We'll give it an extra minute. We'll move on. Chief asked me to move the black point a bit. Just want to see what dust exists. You want me to move the black point to the left? Like you want me to do that? Is that what you're asking for, Sanjeev? Unfortunately, there's about okay, good. All right, well, let's go to our next thing. Which of course is going to be the Trifid right here above Lagoon. Put you right Trifid is a nice one to do broadband. I mean, I come back and do a lot of these things with my emission nebula filter, my NBZ, which is good for the which is good for things like the lagoon, prawn, the red emission nebulas. Hold on a second, I've just got and it's also good for the red portion of Trifid, but unfortunately it blocks out almost all the blue. So the blue is an important part of the Trifid nebula. Actually, it's kind of a nice part about the Chinese dragon too, because all the blue frosting pretty much all the blue frosting would go away. There's a satellite. Okay, so we'll undo that. Just darkened up a little bit. That's probably a good start. See, if I use the NBZ, I see very, very little of this blue. Only just a little bit of blue in here. And all the rest of it's gone. So, this is a great object to do broadband, which is why it's in my broadband list. Because you like seeing that blue reflection nebula part too, along with the emission part. If I had the NBZ in, this would really pop out a lot more. A lot of these stars would be knocked back. And this would really pop out nice. But we'd lose. The cost would be we'd lose the blue reflection nebula portion. So and the Trifid nebula is so named because these the dark nebula that creates the veins in here looks like it splits it into 3 lobes, or or Trifid. And so this is another one that has all 3 kinds of nebulosity: the red emission, the blue reflection, and the dark nebula that makes all the interesting texture in it. Okay, we've gotten a few subs in now. Cleaned up the noise a little bit. We zoom in and take a closer look. A lot more texture in these clouds when you get in a little closer. Alright, we'll finish up our 12th minute here. See what we'll get to next. Oh, yes. I see 1284. Not nearly as big and spectacular as Lagoon and Trifid, but it's a pretty cool thing nonetheless. Alright, let's go check 1284 out. We hit a little chunk of the Sagittarius star cloud too. It's pretty nice, which is down here in this corner. Where you get some nice little star fields and dark nebula and a little emission, a little reflection. Yeah, M20 is pretty cool. Although most of the things we're seeing tonight contain all three types of nebulosity. Of course, when they were discovered, they couldn't see 90% of this. They certainly couldn't see color. Not until long exposure photography could really be used 100, 120 years ago or so did they really start seeing color and stuff. Although there are people who say with a big enough scope you can see the color in things, so maybe some people can. I've never been able to, which is why for most of my amateur astronomy life I really loved it, but everything was just faint and gray. And when I discovered the incredible benefits of sticking a camera in your telescope 8 or 10 years ago, it was quite a revelation for me. There we go. So this is IC 1284. Or actually, you know what? It might be one of the little... Oh. That go. No, it is the little nebula. Okay. And these have NGC numbers, but they're not the reflection nebula. But we get dark nebula, emission, reflection, nice star fields out here. So again, kind of a cool multi-view of different things going on. Oh, I gotta plug in my machine. There you go. In fact, I should just plug them both in, because this one's getting low too. But yeah, just really a cool little area that I just happened to stumble across one night. I think I probably misslewed somewhere and discovered this. It's a pretty cool little spot. Yeah, I agree with you, Ollie. It's, you know, I can think, okay, well, maybe if it was NASA or somebody doing it, you know, showing live pictures of stuff like this. But, yeah, for us, as just regular amateur astronomers on the retail market having access to this kind of stuff is just it's just amazing. Yeah, you can get lost around Sagittarius. Yeah, I think there's so much stuff here you can never be lost. Because no matter where you look around Scorpius and Sagittarius, which is all right around the center of our Milky Way. When you look around that area, it's all there's so much stuff in here. There's Teapot Sagittarius there, and Scorpius there, and the center of the Milky Way is roughly in here. So there is just so much stuff in here that I don't know. You can make the argument you can't get lost, because no matter what you're looking at, it's pretty darn cool, even if it wasn't what you intended to look at when you started. A lot of neat stuff here. Alright. That's about 13 on that. Let's see. You know, just for the heck of it, even though they're not specifically. Even though they are not specifically broadband objects. Let's see how they come out. They may be too swamped with stars. You know what? I just did the wrong thing. I meant to do next target. Not restart the same thing again. Alright, there you are. Let's just try these two guys and see how we do. Omega and Eagle. See how we do with those broadband. Off on the stretch a little bit on this one. Doing a broadband is really bright. You can see there's a lot of blue haze around this. Some reflection nebula around the edge of the cloud. The core is so bright that it's blown out. They have to keep the stretch down a little bit more mellow on this one. Omega or Black Swan. Called a black swan because it looks like a swan from one angle, the body and the neck and the head of the swan. So it's kind of like sort of upside down on this view. Probably have to keep this stretch a bit more mellow because the core just gets too blown out. stretch more. Yeah, there's a lot more here if you stretch it a bit more. A lot more nebula here. But of course, if you do that, then Omega is completely blown up. Boy, look at all the blue frosting over here. All that haze, that dust, as Jeeve called it. Just want to back off a little bit. Off this one and we'll go up to Eagle, see what we can pull out of Eagle. Broadband. With the emission filter, with the NBZ, this would be a lot darker. The middle of this part would be a lot darker and we'd see a lot more texture in here. But we'd be missing a lot of the stuff, the fuzzy stuff on the outside, just the haze, which again is some of that blue reflection nebula frosting sort of stuff. Which is kind of cool. It's pretty nebula though. Okay. Let's go do. There you go. Slew that we shouldn't have to plate solve onto it. Should work. Well, thankfully, the breeze did die down. We got the night they forecasted, just really light little breezes here or there. And turned into a pretty darn nice night for astronomy. It was looking a little dicey there an hour ago, but now it's gotten really nice. Yeah, I agree, Sanjeev. Dark skies. There's no replacement for them. You could try and use filters, but filters not only block out the bad stuff, they block out some of the good too, so. But they're better than nothing. But yeah, being able to live a place like this and have these dark skies is a pretty big advantage for our favorite hobby. Alright, well, we'll let this build for a few frames and oh, 90 minutes. Sometimes I have to pay with more integration time, but so worth it. 90 minutes on M16. Well, we're not going to do 90. We're going to do a fraction of that. We're going to do a fraction of that, maybe 12, maybe a little more. Oh, here comes a satellite chugging through. Maybe we'll do a little more. Once we get a few subs in, we'll go take a look at the pillars, see how well I can pull them in. The C8 with the Hyperstar is really good at collecting light fast, but it doesn't create for a very precise sharp image, which is one of the prices you pay. So we'll see what the pillars look like. 6-panel mosaic. Cool. What's your equipment? What's your scope and camera that you're using? I can't quite get all of North American on with my field of view on this. I think I can get about 2/3 of it with this one. Anyway, we'll give this a few subs. Oh, the AskRB. Cool. Okay, that's a nice setup. No, I don't have the 8-inch RASA. I have actually what I think is the next best thing. I have a C8 with a Hyperstar, and I have all the reducers, 6.3, 3.3, etc. reducers. So basically I can be the RASA, or I can be long focal length, or I can do planetary, or I can do, for galaxy season I put the 6.3 reducer in, and boy, that sub almost went right through my thing. See if I can unstack that one away. Yes, that's not bad. So I basically have the same, I'm at f1.9 right now. The RASA's at f2 with my V4 Hyperstar. On my C8 I'm at f1.9, so yeah, I collect light pretty quick. And like I said, it has its drawbacks. In fact, we're got a few subs and we can probably zoom in a bit here. It has its drawbacks. It's not the clearest, sharpest image, but it collects light really fast and it gets big, faint, fuzzy things really well and really quick. So we've got the pillars in here a little bit. They're not real clear, as I wouldn't expect them. And tonight is, because of the humidity, tonight is actually not a very, the transparency is pretty lousy tonight anyway, because of the humidity and also because of a little bit of smoke. There you can see the pillars are there, 1, 2, and 3, but not real sharp. I'm definitely not in competition with the Hubble or the JWST, but you can see the stuff there. Back off the stretch a little more. The risk of it being a little too dark. I think you guys can still see it pretty well. You can definitely see these 3 interesting things here, which are the pillars. You can use it native for planetary. The native is, on this, is 2,000 millimeters at f10. It's probably even a little light for planetary. I personally don't do planetary, so for me, I'm really a DSO person, not an SSO person, solar system objects. So I don't really do. I mean, using the 6.3 reducer is at about 1,200 millimeters of focal length is as long as I go on the focal length. As slow as I go with it. Otherwise, I'm using the 3.3 reducer at f4, or I'm mostly just leave the hyperstar on it, pretty much for the whole year, as it's the whole year except for galaxy season, when the hyperstar comes off and I put the 6.3 reducer on and go chasing all those galaxies. But other than that, the hyperstar pretty much stays on it. But I do have the 3.3, a Japanese 3.3 reducer, and that works pretty well too with the 183, the 1-inch sensor. If I tried to go with a sensor bigger than that, it would, the outside would be pretty crappy. But for a 1-inch sensor like the 183, the 3.3 reducer actually did pretty well. I was happy with what it did. So yeah, I can basically do RASA, and I can do long and slow too. And that's what I like about my C8. Jack of all trades, master of none. If I want to go walking on moon craters at 2,000 or more millimeters of focal length, I can do that. And if I want to be really fast and get the faint fuzzies, I can do that too. That's what I enjoy most, so the hyperstar tends to stay on it for most of the year. Let's do something different. I want to do one more object. I'm going to do one more object. Embryo, where is Iris? Yeah, we're going to do the Iris as our final object. We've seen a lot of red and some blue. We've seen a lot of red, so let's go see some blue. I really like the Iris. We'll finish with that. I gotta be up early, so this will be my last object of the evening. as if in response, here comes the breeze back a little bit. Well, now at least the scope is pointed out of the wind, not into the wind. Yeah, I knew it wasn't going to be a long session tonight, but I knew it was going to be my last chance to get those southern objects that we did first part of the evening, like prawn and lagoon and whatnot. This is like the best. July's the best month to get them because they're never going to be higher in the sky than they are in July. So it was good to be able to get them. Set him off the bed. Thanks for great images. Yeah, you're very welcome, Star. Thanks for coming in. Wow. 30 hours with a Rasa, that's a lot. You're going to have a lot of data there. Alright, back you off a little. You in there a little. There we go. Alright, collect some stuff on this. Thank you, Ollie. You too. Thanks for being here. And yeah, this will be the last object, so you won't have much to finish up on tomorrow. Although I think you may have missed them in the first couple objects. But anyway, yeah, thanks as always for showing up and being the loyal friend. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Don't know when I'll be on next, but who knows. Have a good night over there. Stay as cool as you can. Brightness filter ignored one. I may have a little bit of a wispy cloud up over here. Oh, that one went back up again. Okay, well, I may have a little bit of cloud up there. Just enough to trip the brightness filter. Yeah, the stuff around it is really cool. It's a very subtle thing, but there's a lot going on around it. Dark nebulae, reflection nebulae, a lot of stuff. Lots of stuff going on. got to finish this one last minute, and I'm going to have to call it a night. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you got to see something that you liked. Turned into a pretty nice night here, so still pretty warm though. Let's see what the temperature is on my thermometer here next to me. It is 100 degrees. Even. Right on 100 degrees at 11:37 p.m. So definitely in the middle of a warm spurt here with a bit of humidity in it as well. So yeah, and next few nights are supposed to be more unsettled, possibly some more monsoonal clouds and maybe even some sprinkles coming in for Friday morning. So who knows? But yeah, I really love Iris. Iris is a great object. We'll zoom in a little bit more here. Just all kinds of dark nebula cloud and wispiness around it. Sort of looks evil-ish, except for the fact that it's such a nice pretty blue. But it's a cool object. I really like doing it. It's definitely a great reflection. A full spectrum object if you can do it. But yeah, good stuff. Anyway, thanks everybody for being here. Thank you, Sanjeev. You were the first man standing and one of the last ones here. So thank you for being here. And yeah, I'll talk to everybody next time, probably next month, whenever that is. So thanks everybody, and have a great night.